If you disconnect from your compassion, if you disconnect from your soul, if you disconnect from your boundaries, your anxiety is loud. It's loud and it's cruel towards you. It's cruel towards other people. It makes you not trust others. They're sketchy. It makes you not trust yourself because you're not good enough. Love and compassion with boundaries isn't kindergarten bullshit. Yogis, earthlings, let's talk about Ahimsa. So you've been to a few or maybe many yoga classes and you are hooked. Somehow you feel better, kinder, more connected to yourself and those around you. Your friends view you as a hippie now, and your parents, well, they think it's a phase. Regardless, when you are on your mat, you are home. Yoga teachers and students, come learn how yoga can help you navigate the daily grind, breakups, your anxiety from a place of clarity and compassion. Welcome to the Modern Yogi Podcast, hosted by me, Laura Siljander. Misfits, earthlings, yogis, take a deep breath, check in to see how you're doing, body, mind, and soul, because you have arrived. So you're taking time out of your day to be better. Awesome. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome to the community. I'm coming to you live from my bathroom. COVID-19 has hit the world and my wife is on a conference call, so I am in the bathroom. Acoustics are pretty good in here. But anyway, if you are quarantined with the same person or people and you're starting to get annoyed by them, this will be a great episode. If you're getting annoyed that people aren't taking the social distancing seriously, another reason why to listen to this episode. And if we're beyond the COVID-19 crisis and you're listening to this episode, oh baby, buckle up because this is still applicable. We're here to talk about, drumroll, Ahimsa, compassion, non-harming, to not be cruel, to not hurt. Can we talk about this for a moment, please? So there was known to be this guy, we think it's a guy, we think it's one, it could be a group, we're not sure, who wrote the Yoga Sutras. The Yoga Sutras is a book that the 8 limbs of yoga came from. It's a spiritual, ancient text that yogis typically read when they get past the Western posture-crazed yoga classes and they go, wait, there's a little bit more to this yoga practice other than six-pack abs in a hot room. And it's Yoga Sutras written by Patanjali. It's about 196 lessons or threads. That's what it roughly translates to. So yoga is to unite. Sutra are threads. And there are, again, 196 sutras, threads, or lessons that you can incorporate into your life. What's really cool thought about the Yoga Sutras and the threads are, if you think like of a mala necklace, and there's the thread that holds the beads on there, and it's the sutras that you want to incorporate into your life is like putting on one of those mala beads onto your thread. This is going to be my truth. This I can apply to my life. This makes sense to me. And when you read the Yoga Sutras later on in life, earlier on in life, whenever in life, a new sutra typically shows itself as truth to you. So these are sutras or offerings or lessons that you can go back to your whole life. So that's a kind of a cool way. It's this book, and the 8 limbs of yoga came out of it. And the first limb of yoga are called the yamas. And the first yama is ahimsa. And I don't think that this is a coincidence at all, that we are building a foundation of a yogic lifestyle on non-harming. So ahimsa, compassion, and non-harming. It's an excellent place to start. Let's not hurt things. It seems pretty common sense, but it's a lot deeper of a teaching than just don't hurt things. People have taken ahimsa in different ways. I want you to find your truth or your satya and figure out what ahimsa means to you. Not my ahimsa, what is your ahimsa? So let's get into this a little bit more. The translation of the Yoga Sutras that I'm reading is by Swami Satchidananda. Swami Satchidananda. Say that 10 times fast. So that's the translation I'm working with. You can get it on Amazon if you want. And I'll put that book in the show notes. I would love to read from the Yoga Sutras to you. It is book 2, Sutra 30. Ahimsa is not causing pain. Some authors translate it as non-killing, but it is not that. Himsa means to cause pain. Ahimsa means to not cause pain. Killing is different from causing pain. Causing pain can be even more harmful than killing. Even your words, even your thoughts can cause pain. What Swami Satchidananda is saying is, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words also hurt. That energy that you're putting out also is harmful. And that's not just causing pain towards something else. That's causing pain inside of you. That's causing pain in your head. And that's why I said when we disconnect from our compassion, our anxiety gets so loud. It gets so loud if we disconnect from that compassion. Let me go a little further. Our internal environment truly dictates how we feel and how we treat other people. If we are telling ourselves over and over that we suck, that we're not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't like my body, she's smarter than me, what have you, you are not practicing ahimsa of thought. Now, this isn't something just to beat yourself up about and you're doing another thing wrong. What yoga asks you to do is to look at your habits, to look at the way you're thinking, the way you're shaping thoughts and your actions. Where does it come from? And yoga's asking you to look at that and asking you, does this work for you? Is this something that's your truth? Is this something that you want to invite ahimsa with? Is this your truth? Is harming your body with your thoughts, treating it badly, maybe not feeding it enough or overfeeding it, or just negative internal dialogue about yourself, is that helpful? Is that helpful? Yoga asks you to look at that and says, what is your truth here? And then if you want to incorporate some ahimsa into your life, you're going to look at that a little bit further and say, wow, I'm harming myself. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to harm myself. How can I practice ahimsa of my thoughts with myself first? A couple sutras or a couple lessons later than the one I just read you, Swami Satchidananda says that if you can catch yourself in these thought patterns, if you can catch yourself kind of talking down to yourself internally, if you can catch that and flip the script, change it up. If your anxiety gets loud, change it up. Think the very opposite. If you do this over and over again, this will wire your brain differently over time. What's a beautiful thing is this is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means we can change our thought patterns, but we have to do it over and over until it becomes habit. So when that anxiety gets loud, when that internal environment gets dark and mean and cruel, you think the opposite over and over again until it becomes a pattern. And that could be a way that you practice ahimsa of the mind, of your thoughts, starting with you. Because we are our worst critics here. And if we can catch ourselves in these times saying, I am good enough, I am enough, I did what I could, then that's starting to incorporate ahimsa of your thoughts towards yourself. When we start incorporating ahimsa of the mind and our thoughts towards ourselves, we start to do this with other people. Even people that we don't necessarily agree with. But when we start to incorporate just a little ahimsa into our lives, that shows through to others. Whether we like you or not, you'll notice that you start to see more similarities and commonalities between you and other people rather than all of your differences and focusing on that. Ahimsa helps us with this. Ahimsa helps us connect with other people in a more healthy way. Now, this does not mean being a doormat. This does not mean letting people walk all over you. And ahimsa says, not harming, so I don't want to harm them, so I'm just going to let them do it. No. That is not what ahimsa means. I talked about this in an episode way back when, episode 17, called Boundaries or Bust. And Brene Brown did a research study with monks, the most compassionate group of people that she found. And something that she found in them that was a pattern between them all were hard boundaries. Hard boundaries. I am okay with this. I am not okay with this. If you need to learn how to set some boundaries with people who hurt you, for people who violate your boundaries, for people who cause you anxiety, I would really recommend going back to episode 17, Boundaries Are Bust. And I have a whole episode all about how to not be a doormat, how to coexist with people like family members or people that you work with that you don't agree with, but you still want to practice ahimsa, you still want your boundaries. Go listen to that. So I mentioned that it's COVID-19 time and there's social distancing and we're supposed to stay 6 feet away from folks. Something interesting that I have found myself catching myself with is not practicing ahimsa with other people. I'll see people in large groups and they're not practicing the 6 feet, or I'm on my walk and they're walking way too close to me and we have the whole road, but they still won't give me the 6 feet. And I find that I get frustrated and I get a little bit upset and angry because I feel, one, that I'm being violated right now with my boundaries, because we all know, the whole world knows 6 feet. It's not a secret. It's not like you don't know. Even people who live under rocks know that COVID's out there and you need 6 feet. And so I found myself getting really pissed off and I started to not incorporate ahimsa because I now am mad. Now that I go on my walks and I'm thinking, okay, ahimsa, 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 what I'm going to do if I'm living my ahimsa now is, okay, if you want to play chicken with a person, I'm not going to play chicken. I'm going to give you the 6 feet. I'm not being a doormat. I'm also keeping myself safe. And just because the person who's walking towards me, maybe without a mask and doesn't want to do the social distancing, that's their prerogative. Maybe they're not taking it seriously, and that's for them to decide. That's not me to try to figure out. That's not for me to change, but it is up to me of how I'm going to act and how I incorporate my ahimsa with people like that is, all right, fine, I'll give you the 6 feet because I want to keep myself and you safe. Ahimsa is a really weird way of making you look at the same situation in a different way. You look at the same, either good or bad or whatever situation, and ahimsa allows you to look at it with a different veil of truth. In the Yoga Sutras, it starts with ahimsa of the mind. So that is also your mind and how you look at yourself, how you're viewing other people, how critical or judgmental you are to other people. And it also has ahimsa of your speech. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Compassionate speech, y'all. Speech that doesn't harm. Speech that doesn't hurt. We all have been bullied. We've all been told something that has hurt us to the core. As yogis, we believe that our words hold weight and that energy is exchanged when we're talking to someone or even typing to someone. And so how can we speak our truth, our satya, with ahimsa, with love and compassion? You compare them or you combine them. You combine both of them. And again, in episode 17, Boundaries Are Bust, I tell you how to speak your truth with ahimsa, with compassion. You can do both. There's also ahimsa of your actions. This is a biggie. Ahimsa of the actions is different for everyone, but that is one of the reasons why many folks have become vegans or vegetarians, because they don't believe in harming animals to feed them when they don't have to. Some yogis look at this in a different way of, hey, I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to drink a lot of water. I am going to take care and nourish my bodies through asanas, pranayamas, breath work, and meditation. And that's my way of practicing ahimsa with my body, with my actions. Some yogis say, I'm going to recycle. That's my ahimsa of action. So what is your ahimsa of action? What is a way that you could bring in some non-harming into your life? If you are not sure about where to start with this one, maybe you've heard your yoga teacher say, practice ahimsa on your yoga mat today. If I am guiding you through postures that hurt your body, don't do them. Also, if I'm not calling out postures that you want for your body, feel free to do them. Practice ahimsa with your body. Practice ahimsa on your mat. That's a place that you can start. Now, this is really tough, especially when that ego gets involved with, well, do you see the girl next to you? She's floating up into handstand. And then your ego's like, well, I can try to float into handstand, but my wrists kind of hurt today because I've been practicing way too much handstand. And you float into handstand, and then your wrist hurts for the rest of the day. Ahimsa would say, don't float up into the handstand. Your wrist hurts. And that's where you can start practicing that compassion, that ahimsa, that non-harming is on your mat. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this will cause you to slow down, to focus on your body, to see if there's any aches or pains in the body, to move more mindfully, to move, not just to move the body aimlessly, but to move with more intention, to feel the postures, to focus on the postures. This is a way that you can move on your yoga mat that is very different than what we are taught in the West, which is very exercise oriented. We love as many postures as we can get, as many fancy postures as we can get. Can you practice ahimsa, Find a class that's slower and really work on your ahimsa on your mat. That's a great place to start. When we start to practice ahimsa in this way, very intentionally at first, it then becomes also very habitual. You start to live your life like this. It's less organized and more just part of your life. Which brings me to the story about the grandfather, the Native American chief, telling his grandson about the two wolves that are constantly at war within us. One wolf, he told his grandson, representing compassion and love and joy and positivity. And the other wolf was darkness and greed and wanting more and more. And it was critical and judgmental of others and the body it resided in. And the grandson looks up at his grandfather and asks the question, which wolf wins? And the grandfather says, the wolf that you feed. If you feed your good wolf, if you feed your wolf of positivity, of courage, of love and compassion, that wolf's going to win. If you give into the unvirtuous wolf of greed and ego and always wanting more and always chasing more and more and more and more, that's the wolf that will be fed and that will win. So if you're finding that you're getting anxious, you don't really trust yourself, you're not really trusting other people, you don't know what's going on, maybe you spend some time with ahimsa, non-harming. Start on your mat, start with your thoughts, see where it leads you. And again, this is not a coincidence that this is one of the first of the 8 limbs of yoga that yogis are taught. When we actually start living our yoga off the mat, we move through our days differently. We see the world through a different lens. We begin to see things as a whole and connected. We look at our lives and those other beings in our lives in a kinder and more compassionate ways. This is how we view the world when we really start to live our yoga off the mat. Connected, which yoga means to be united, connected. Connected with yourself, connected with those around you, and connected with the divine or the God of your own understanding. If you liked this little tidbit of yoga philosophy, let me know, and we can go through all the limbs of yoga. We can go through just the yamas. We can go through whatever you want, but please reach out to me. Let me know. Please, during this time, can we invite this compassion into our thoughts, into our speech, and into our actions? Namaste, yogis. You've got this. If you want some more information, you can follow me at practice_compassion or forsoulgender.com. Love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. All right. Have a wonderful day or night.